Hello, everyone. Once again, here to share another exciting training. This time, we're talking about media relations. Hey, what is media relations? How do you get the media to get involved in what you're doing? And how do you respect the profession and also reaching out and making a difference in your community? Hey, I'm Ken Dixon. I serve as the Vice President for Communication and Public Relations here at the Texas Conference, and today we're talking about all things media relations. Hey, welcome back. So, what is media relations? As we're thinking about the things that happen in our communities, the things that happen in our churches, we're excited about those things that are going on. But the question is that how do we get others to know about what we're doing? Now, one of the things, the reasons why we use media is because media is one of the outlets in which individuals still trust sharing news and information. And so there is still a broad respect for the media. And so, therefore, when we talk about media relations, we're talking about building relationships with journalists, influencers on social media, bloggers, anybody that has a vast array of influence with individuals within our community, with our stakeholders, with our target audiences. So, what is media relations? That's a good question. So, media relations is a mutual beneficial association between communication or public relations professionals and journalists as a condition for reaching publics or audiences with messages of news or features of interest or what is called publicity. So that is what we talk about when we're talking about media relations. In a nutshell, in a layman's jargon, it is getting the press to come to your event and show it in its best light. And so, how do we go about doing that? Some of the best practices in which we think about are some of the big name companies that what they use to get coverage, and it is part science, but it is also part relationship. Mainly relationship. And so, but why would we need media relations? What would be the benefit for us? Well, it establishes and enhances relationships with journalists, bloggers, and editors, as I mentioned before. It allows for storytelling that you provide. In other words, is what we call own media. And it also fosters accurate, balanced, and timely coverage of your organization's information, as well as it assists in being proactive as well as reactive. So we're doing this to build relationships. We're also doing this to be proactive in case we need them, and not reactive or reactive when we have to do something. And so those are the things that are important. Now, the traditional media, the press, the news, people that we see in written press as well as on TV or nightly news, that's traditional media. But viral media has changed everything. It has changed everything. What do I mean? Anyone can be a journalist now. I didn't say a good one. I didn't say a respectable one. I didn't say one in which people would listen to, but anyone can report something happening. And it doesn't actually have to be true. So viral video, viral media has changed everything. It's a new landscape. And when we're talking about this new landscape, we have to look at it from the standpoint of what does it mean to be in a new landscape, and what does this landscape look like? Social media allows for unfiltered news to be shared in an instant. In other words, news that happens immediately can be shared around the world in less than, in minutes and seconds. It can be shared around the world. And the majority of the world can know about something in 24 hours, where before it would take months and sometimes even years. But that is the change that has happened with social media and media going viral, as we call new media. No fact checking or sourcing. In other words, there's no way to, there's no one that has to check it and make sure it's right. It is just news. It is something that goes viral, and no sourcing, no providing any kind of backup to fact check it and make sure it's okay. Anyone and everyone can do it, as I mentioned before. The speed of information and reputation, there are implications that go with that. So, in other words, a reputation can be won and lost in a matter of seconds about with something being shared on social media, or when media or news goes viral. And so therefore we have to understand that what sound media relations is all about. It is understanding the relationship between communication professionals and journalists, understanding what that means, connecting current events and trends to what your organization is doing, and also understanding how information is distributed in the distribution system and how that works. Those things are important because you don't want to just throw out information without understanding how this thing works. So let's go ahead and look at some of the things that we can do. Important relationships for effective media relations. Okay, media relations with news people helps them do their job better. Relations with production staff members gets them on your side. Relations with other communication professionals shares responsibility. Another thing that is important about relations for effective public relations, relations with freelance writers is key because they sometimes have unbiased opinions about something, and so they can look at it with objective eyes. And then on understanding the difference between paid, that is advertising or something that is controlled, earned, publicity, uncontrolled, shared, social media, uncontrolled, and owned, internal communication or internal information that is controlled. Okay, and we call this simply PESTO. Okay, it is paid, earned, shared, and owned. Why are those things important? Because when you have your own paid, it is controlled by you. When you have shared, someone else has shared your information to others. When you have owned, is stuff that you do within internally within your church, within your organization. But the most and the highest value you have is earned media. What does that mean? That means that someone has gotten wind of what you're doing and you've earned their trust to share. That is powerful. And that's what it's all about. What does that mean? That means we have to share things that people are interested in, not things that we are interested in. Because when you share things that you are interested in essence, you're really talking to yourself. Because if you really want to connect to the community, you really want to connect to new stakeholders, you really want to empower the stakeholders that you already have, you must do things and you must seek to find out what individuals are seeking for. And then ask yourself or your organization the question, do we have the means in which to provide those things? If you don't have the means, don't try to do something, half done, because it's a bad reflection on your organization and on your church. So find out things that they're interested in. If you can do it to the highest quality, because in doing so, you provide value not only to the profession, but also your stakeholders, your audiences will look at that and say, they value my attention so much that they put some time and effort into their advertisement, their promotion, their programs. So here's some key takeaways. First of all, you need to conduct an audit. What does that mean? You need to find out what you're doing right now. What communication are you doing right now? And how is that working? Then you create a list. This list of individuals or influencers that you want to reach out to. Develop a pitch. And a pitch is basically, what are you going to say? How are you going to pitch it to them? How are you going to use this as a bait to get them to interest in your story? And then also, you want to convey this understanding and commence this outreaching or reaching out to them. and you want to convey that you know what you're doing. You don't want to do things that are just half done. And you're going to hear me say that a lot about doing things to the highest caliber. Yes, we make mistakes, and yes, we're human. I understand. But there are some things that we do in the rush of trying to get out there, we mess up. And it always takes just one thing to mess up a reputation. And it takes forever to try to fix it. So just take the time and do what will be best for your audience. So here's some do's and don'ts. Okay, some do's and don'ts when you're talking about trying to get the media on and into your camp to share information. Do's and don'ts for media outreach. Okay, do's: start with an email. If you don't have their email and you're in the Texas conference and you have a journalist in your area, reach out to our department, communication at txsda.org. We will share that news, that reporter's information, that email. But most of the stuff is found on the website of the newsroom. Some other things that you want to do. You want to consider their workload. In other words, don't think about, oh, we got this great event, but then you don't think about their workload and what they're going to have to deal with. So do your due diligence to find out what their workload is. So in other words, don't send them something at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon with an expectation of it to be shown or covered for that day. Give them some lead time. And with that, I say within a 2-week window, you want to reach out to them about an event that you're having. Okay. And then take a no gracefully. Okay, if they say no, they're not interested, don't think that it's an indictment against you, your organization, the church, or any of those kind of things. It may not be something they're interested in. Their readers may not be interested. Their viewers may not be interested in it. So don't take it so personally. Don't get mad at them because they don't give you the coverage that you think you deserve. But once again, it's about your audience and about who they're trying to reach and who you're trying to reach. If those two things meet in the middle and connect, chances are you're going to get the coverage that you want and that you desire. And then build a rapport. How do you build a rapport? Don't start with your story. Take them out to lunch. Send them some donuts. Just send a thank you card to the newsroom or to the reporter and say thank you for the coverage that you do. Start a relationship with them, because when you do that, when you pitch them a story, your name is not foreign to them. All right, so here's some do nots. Don't do this. Don't waste their time. Okay, nobody wants their time to be wasted. Don't force a no. Okay, you don't want to force them to say no to you. So you want to be graceful with that. And then don't cold call. Okay, don't make this call and say, hey, I got this great story that I think you'll be interested in. That's so yesteryear. Don't do that. Okay. Don't cold call them. Reach out with them in an email. And then if they have some corrections that they want, don't nitpick them. Okay. Don't nitpick them. If it doesn't detract from your story, if it doesn't change something from your story, if it's not something that is, life shattering or earth ending, don't nitpick them. Let them choose and go from there. Hey, these are just some principles that I hope that you would take and you hope that you will be blessed by. If you have any more questions or you want more training like this, just send us an email at communication@txsda.org. We love to train and share in the communication space, especially for nonprofits, churches, and organizations that are out there serving the community. Hey, thank you once again for listening. And once again, tune into some of our other training on YouTube. We'd love to share more with you. Thank you.